and welcome you watching This is Exclusive with me, Isha Vincent. Tonight we put the spotlight on two stories. Unnao rape survivor had to take to the streets for an order that was passed suspending the sentence of former BJP MLA Kuldeep Singh. In fact, the entire order, 53-page judgment that has been passed, essentially revolves around whether this man that you see behind me is a public servant or not. Tonight on This is Exclusive, we put out details of this entire matter and more importantly, the role that has been played by the investigative agency. An explosive interview coming up in a short while from now, raising questions about the manner in which this entire investigation was actually carried out and whether at all there are people hand in gloves and whether heads should be rolling now. All this and much more in this edition of This is Exclusive. But first, let me take you through the headlines we are tracking at this hour. Sengar guilty but freed while Unnao survivor is dragged, detained. Republic launches a campaign. Don't release Sengar. Unnao survivor breaks silence on Republic, says family compelled to revisit trauma after judiciary fails to protect them. Total confusion within Delhi government. AQI continues to worsen, but government revokes scrap 4 measures.
Demographic pattern is changing fast. Today, almost 40% of our total population will be from those who has come from Bangladesh at some point of time.
Himanta warns of demographic change, says Assam Muslim population now 40%.
देखो बांग्लादेश में एक दलित नौजवान को कैसे जला दिया गया। आप लोग गाजा पट्टी में होने वाले किसी भी उस पर आंसू बहाते हैं, लेकिन आपकी जवान से एक शब्द नहीं निकल रहा है क्योंकि एक दलित नौजवान मारा गया बांग्लादेश में।
Yogi slams silence of political parties on attacks on Hindus, challenges opposition to condemn attack on Hindus in one voice. Ladies and gentlemen, justice for her, the Unnao rape survivor, was supposed to mean safety. But now it means fear all over again. A survivor who once shook the conscience of the nation is back on the streets, protesting, crying out and asking a question India has heard before. When a convicted rapist walks free on bail, who protects the survivor? A painful chapter from the Unnao rape case has once again reopened old wounds. As the family says, freedom for him feels like a death sentence for them. 8 years after her courage forced the nation to listen, the Unnao survivor is fighting the same very battle again. The Delhi High Court's decision to grant conditional bail to former BJP leader Kuldeep Singh Sengar has pushed the survivor and her family to visit old wounds. Tonight on This is Exclusive, we not only get you the ordeal of the Unnao rape survivor who's back on the streets demanding justice. Justice which seems to be completely elusive. And not just that, the legal counsel makes a stunning claim about the investigation that has been carried out by the Central Bureau of Investigation and why they believe that the investigation too is essentially compromised. First, take a look at this report and then we're going to play out that full interview coming up with the legal counsel of Unnao rape survivor.
Watch closely how a rape survivor and her family is treated. Seething in anger, feeling betrayed, their demand is one. Rape convict Kuldeep Singar cannot get away easy.
The Delhi police is now forcibly removing the victim from the who has been protesting at India Gate. They have already removed the mother and social activist who had accompanied the victim, and now they are also forcibly removing the victim from India Gate Circus.
The uproar escalates as the Delhi High Court suspended Sengar's life sentence and granted him conditional bail. For the survivor and her family, the order has reopened years of trauma, fear and loss, a pain they say they never truly healed from.
सरकार तो यही कह रहे हैं कि मेरे बच्चों की सिक्योरिटी मिलना चाहिए, कुलदीप सेंगर को बरी नहीं होने देना। हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट से यही विनती कर रहे हैं, हाथ जोड़ के पूरी जनता तक का मेरी सोच ना पहुंचाई जाए मैम, हमको तभी न्याय मिलेगी। सारी न्यूज़ सारी जनता मेरे साथ रहेगी तभी हमको न्याय मिलेगा, नहीं वरना हमको न्याय नहीं मिलेगी।
The survivor has described the court's decision as death for her family.
कल का कुछ भी हो सकता है। आज इनको बेल मिली है हाई कोर्ट से, कल का मेरा घर विड्रॉ किया जाएगा, कल का मेरी सिक्योरिटी विड्रॉ की जाएगी, तो मैं तो कहीं की भी नहीं रह जाऊंगी। भाई पावरफुल इंसान है, उसी की सरकार है, आज बेल मिली कल घर हटाया जाएगा।
The family has now knocked on the doors of the Supreme Court, hoping to secure long pending justice.
जान का खतरा है, आते रहते हैं, गुंडे धमकी देते हैं कि केस वापस ले लो, नहीं मरवा देंगे, अभी तो तुम्हारे चाचा को जेल भेजा है, अभी उल्टा लटकवाना बाकी है, अभी तुम लोगों को इस तरीके से बात करते हैं। हम लोग घर से बाहर नहीं निकलते हैं और हमारी सुरक्षा भी छीन ली।
As the fight for Unnao victims continue, the demand is but one: rape convict Sengar cannot be let go of.
Imagine the plight of Unnao rape survivor. Years ago, she had to knock the doors of the chief minister at that point in time so that her case could be heard. And thereafter, she's lost her own family members, some who are still behind bars. The reality is this, that even today, the family members face threats. Now, that's exactly what she told me a while back when I spoke to her, and how exactly has she really mustered the courage to fight this. She says that she can only fight this to a logical end only if people of this country join this campaign. Joining us tonight on This Is Exclusive is someone who's fought a valiant battle. It started with knocking at the doors of those in power, taking the battle to the end. But what we have seen over the last 24 hours is absolutely shocking. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद रिपब्लिक टीवी से बात करने के लिए। सबसे पहले आपसे शुरुआत करना चाहूँगा, आपकी ये लड़ाई कई सालों से चल रही है। सबसे पहले तो मैं सबको याद दिलाना चाहूँगा कि जब पहले आप कंप्लेंट दर्ज करना चाह रही थी, तब भी आपकी आवाज़ कोई नहीं सुन रहा था, तब आपको एक एक्सट्रीम स्टेप लेने की ज़रूरत पड़ी। और आज जब पूरे देश में हर कोई एक तरह से शॉक्ड है कि कैसे ये आखिरकार कैसे हो सकता है, दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट कैसे ऐसे निर्णय ले सकते हैं। आपसे पहले जानना चाहूँगा, ये कई सालों में जितनी आपको लड़ाई लड़नी पड़ी,
मेरा तो यही कहना है, क्योंकि मैं 23 तारीख को डेट लगी थी, जजमेंट का ऑर्डर आना था और मैं गई थी हाई कोर्ट, 46 कोर्ट नंबर में ये जजमेंट होना था। और मैं इस जजमेंट से बहुत दुख महसूस कर रही हूँ, मुझे बहुत आहत है। मुझे लगा कि मैं यहीं पे अपना सुसाइड कर लूँ और मर जाऊँ। तो मैंने सोचा, मेरे 2 बच्चे हैं, मेरी विकलांग सास है, हस्बैंड है, परिवार है, भाई है, बहन है, ये सब हैं। इसको सोचते हुए हमने सोचा कि जिंदा रह के ही लड़ेंगे, संघर्ष करके ही इंसाफ मिलता है, और मरने से तो इंसाफ नहीं मिलेगा। मर जाएंगे उसके बाद में तो कुछ नहीं होगा, मर जाएंगे, जांच होगी, कुछ होगा, होता रहेगा, लेकिन इंसाफ नहीं मिलेगा। और मैं यही कहना चाहती हूँ कि मेरे चाचा ने क्या किया। मेरे चाचा ने किसी लड़की को छेड़ा भी नहीं, ना किसी बेटी के साथ रेप किया, ना किसी बेटी को आँख उठा के देखा, ना किसी के साथ गलत किया। उस इंसान को 10 साल की सजा सुनवा के और उनको 7 साल जेल में रहते हुए हो गया। उनको बेल पैरोल कुछ नहीं मिली। मेरे पापा की 13वीं पड़ी हुई है। आज कितने साल हो गए, 2018 में मारे गए थे, आज ये 26 आने वाला है। और सोचो आप, कितने साल हो गए कि उनकी आत्मा भटक रही है। मेरे पिता की, मेरे दादी की, मेरे चाची की, सबकी आत्माएं भटक रही हैं। एक इंसान को 10 दिन की पैरोल बेल नहीं मिलती कि अपने भाई का, अपनी माँ का, अपनी वाइफ का काम कर सके। आके दाह संस्कार के लिए 1 दिन के लिए पैरोल मिलती है, उसके बाद उनको जेल में कर दिया जाता है। और ऐसे रेप के आरोपी विधायक कुलदीप सिंह सेंगर को इतना बड़ा फैसला, देश का ये पहला ऑर्डर है जो ऐसा हुआ है। देश की हर बेटी का रूह कांप गई कि ऐसे रेप होगा और आरोपी 5 साल में ही बाहर आ जाएगा। आसाराम राम रहीम की भी तो अब वो हो गया कि जब वो रेप के आरोपी विधायक कुलदीप सिंह बाहर आ सकते हैं तो हम क्या हैं, हम भी बाहर तो आ सकते हैं। भाई सब रेप है, जो रेप के आरोपी हैं, जज साहब, मुझे ये भी सुनने में आ रहा है कि जज साहब उनको दया करते हुए जजमेंट दिया है, दया करते हुए जजमेंट दिया है। अब हमारे ऊपर जजों को दया नहीं आई कि एक बेटी के साथ में रेप हुआ, उसके पिता को मार दिया, उसके परिवार की सुरक्षा हटा दी, उसके पैरोकार गवाहों की सुरक्षा हटा दी। और इसी में सीबीआई के अहम गवाह वीरेंद्र यादव, वो भी न्यूज से हैं, कुलदीप सिंह सेंगर, उनकी पहले तो कोर्ट से सुरक्षा हटाई जाती है, उसके बाद में उसके दूसरे दिन ही उनके ऊपर गैंगस्टर लगाया जाता है, उनको 50 दिन जेल में रखा जाता है। यूपी की प्रशासन उसको 50 दिन उन्नाव जेल में रख के उनको टॉर्चर करती है, उन्हें करंट लगाती है, उन्हें बोलती है कि
आप कह रहे हैं कि सीबीआई की प्राइम विटनेस की बात कर रही हैं,
खड़े हो।
मैडम, आप सीबीआई की प्राइम विटनेस की बात करें,
अहम गवाह।
पहले तो मैं दूसरे सवाल करने से पहले आपको मैं एक चीज तो आपको कहना चाहूंगा, मैं एक चीज आपको कहना चाहूंगा कि आपके साहस और आपके पूरे परिवार के साहस को मैं दाद देना चाहूंगा, क्योंकि आज जितने भी लोग आपको सुन रहे हैं, कहीं ना कहीं उनके मन में यही है कि आपसे वो यही मैसेज भेजने की कोशिश करना चाहेंगे। क्योंकि कल जब मैंने निर्भया के मम्मी से बात की, उन्होंने भी यही कहा कि आपकी जो साहस है, ये साहस को दाद देनी चाहिए, और आपके साथ सिर्फ आप अकेले नहीं है, पूरे देश के लोग हैं। मैं आपसे जानना चाहूंगा, जिस तरह से आप संघर्ष कर रही हैं और हौसला आपको मिल रहा है, आप कैसे इसको आगे लेके जाएंगे आगे?
जब तक मैं बाहर ही रहूंगी, चाहे मुझे रोड में ही सोना पड़ जाए, क्योंकि मेरे दूध पीते बच्चे हैं, वो भटक रहे हैं, मेरी सासू माँ भटक रही, मेरे हस्बैंड की जॉब छूट गई। अब बताओ हम लोग क्या खाएंगे, क्या कैसे अपने बच्चों को जिलाएंगे? एक कंपनी ने मेरे हस्बैंड को निकाल दिया जॉब से। अब बताओ मेरा आगे का जीवन कैसे चलेगा? अगर वो रेप का आरोपी बाहर आ जाएगा तो मुझे, मेरे परिवार को मार कर दे। अब उनकी मौसी बोल रही है कि रोड एक्सीडेंट तो बहुत होते हैं। जब मेरे पिता को मारा गया तो उनकी मौसी कहाँ बैठी थी? चलो नीचे चलो,
क्योंकि
मेरा यही कहना है सभी मीडिया बंधु से और जनता से, मैं गुहार लगा रही हूँ कि मुझे न्याय दिलाए, ताकि कुलदीप सिंह इतने बड़े मैटर में उनको जमानत मिल गई तो मेरे पिता को मौत की घाट उतार दे, वो क्या चीज है? उसमें भी मिल जाएगी। सारे आरोपी बाहर हैं, सारे आरोपी बाहर हैं।
क्या एक तरह से, क्या आप अभी भी आशा रखती है, क्या आप एक तरह से अभी भी आशा रखती है कि आपको न्याय मिलेगा? क्योंकि
एक गरीब जेल काटता है, गरीब को नहीं मिलता है न्याय, लेकिन अमीर जो पैसे वाले होते हैं उनको न्याय मिलता है। इसमें ब्रजभूषण शरण सिंह का भी हाथ है।
आप कई सारे आरोप लगा रहे हैं, बट आपसे एक चीज मैं पूछना चाहूंगा, क्योंकि आपने कई बार लड़ाई की कंप्लेंट दर्ज करने से लेकर, क्योंकि ये लोग को आज लोगों को ये जानना बहुत जरूरी है कि जब आप कंप्लेंट रजिस्टर करना चाहती थी,
हाई कोर्ट को मैं एलिगेशन नहीं लगा रही हूँ, मैं हाई कोर्ट के उन जजों को एलिगेशन लगा रही हूँ कि जिस जज ने पे उनको छोड़ के मेरा ना सुन के उनकी सुन ली।
Well, it does not end here. In fact, when we spoke to the legal counsel of Unnao rape survivor, he's made some direct allegations, and the allegation is against the very agency that is responsible for keeping Kuldeep Singh Sengar behind bars. The legal counsel of Unnao rape survivor has said that this entire investigation to a certain extent has been compromised because an attempt has been made by the Central Bureau of Investigation to weaken the argument. In fact, some arguments have been made regarding the prime witness, the security of prime witness. You've already heard what Unnao rape survivor had to tell us a short while back regarding what really happened to a prime witness of the Central Bureau of Investigation. Now questions are being raised about the arguments that have been made in the court, which the legal counsel has been saying that there is a possibility, and in fact it has happened in the past, that it has been done in such a manner that it has only weakened their argument. So much so that the parole has been granted in the past. How exactly is the Unnao rape survivor planning to take this entire fight forward? Here is what Mahmood Pracha, the legal counsel of Unnao rape survivor, this is what he had to tell me. The Delhi High Court judgment has sparked a massive outrage. In fact, finer details of that order has only sparked, as I would say, more speculation as to what perhaps could be the reasoning behind this entire order. Joining us right now is Unnao rape survivors legal counsel, Mahmood Pracha, senior advocate. Thank you very much for joining us tonight on This Is Exclusive. Let me straight away begin by asking you the 53-page judgment. It does appear, Mr. Mahmood Pracha, that has delved into whether at all Kuldeep Sengar is a public servant or not. I could not really wrap my head around whether at all there is any precedent to it. What do you really make of this judgment?
If I have to criticize this judgment, I can write books after books after books. But this is a landmark judgment which will go a long way of assuring every pedophile, every rapist and gang rapist, murderer, of giving this confidence to him that if Mr. Kuldeep Singh Sengar can be released, I will also be released, so I can do whatever I like. Nobody is going to catch me. That is the message this judgment can give, and I can, if I start criticizing, I think it will need very.
But this logic about whether at all he is a public servant or not.
Short.
The fact of the matter is that he has been a legislator not once, multiple times. So does that not make it very clear that he's been a public servant? And as far as this crime that has been committed, it was committed while he was a public servant.
See, there is a slight technicality about the POCSO Act. There is a section 5 of aggravated penetrative sexual assault, which now there is a dispute in law. There is a not clarity in law whether if a judge does not write this, that life means up to end of life. So whether that will be considered as a life imprisonment until the death of the person who's convicted, or life means 14 years with the remissions, etc. So that in that context, this public servant becomes relevant. Because for public servant, POCSO Act clearly mentions up to the natural life of the convict. Right. In other cases, it does not. But there is a conflict in law that every life sentence means life. There are catena of judgments. This is one aspect. Another aspect is this person, Kuldeep Singh Sengar, was having a place of dominance over this victim. So that also, the provision is clear that life would mean till the end of the natural life of the convict, which has not been considered by the Honorable Division Bench. However, they have given this reasoning for not considering this aspect, that CBI has not challenged this finding of the trial court, that life up to the natural life can be given in this case also, additionally, apart from being a public servant, additionally because he was having a place of dominance over because he was a family senior, they had family terms, and this girl used to call him Dada or elder father.
Right.
So that aspect has been completely negated. However, the bigger point is this: these details, nitty-gritties of the evidence cannot be gone.
The fact of the matter is that, how do you really make this kind of,
petition?
This kind of conclusion the very fact that you have the rape survivor here who's actually gone for seeking for a job. So what is the connection that we are essentially talking about?
The connection is this Kuldeep Singh Sengar was having a position of dominance over this poor child. So that makes it a punishable equivalent to that if the offence was committed as MLA, which is public servant. That aspect is slightly in dispute in judgments. We are going to challenge it in Supreme Court and sort that out also. But in any case, this person who's accused of first raping the girl, to hide and to prevent the girl and her family from complaining, this girl was subjected to kidnapping, gang rape. The matter does not finish there. This girl's father was picked up on a false charge by the police at the behest of Kuldeep Singh Sengar. He was murdered by the police. The matter does not finish there. Thereafter, the Supreme Court takes cognizance of this matter, transfer this matter to Delhi. But meanwhile, this girl is attacked along with her family members and the lawyer. And the lawyer is killed. 2 family members are killed. Right. This girl is almost killed. She survives by a miracle, I would say.
Right.
Then this person has been granted this mercy, that he deserves mercy. Why? Because the High Court is not in a position to dispose of the appeal. It will take some time. So therefore, this person, because of the fault of the High Court's burden of work, he deserves this mercy. I think this is the worst part of this judgment, which needs to be criticized as much as possible.
Not only are you going to challenge this order that has been passed by the Delhi High Court, are you also moving an application as far as challenging the very arguments that have been made by the Central Bureau of Investigation? Because at the end of the day, it does appear from the arguments that you've made so far that the agency too is equally compromised.
100%. Not lesser than 100%. You see, I'll give you another practical example. What is the title of this case? Kuldeep Singh Sengar versus Central Bureau of Investigation. So who has the prime duty to fight against this?
So they have made no indication that they are going to challenge this order.
And if you read the
Central Bureau of Investigation makes no such assertion that they are going to challenge the order.
So this poor, and even if they challenge, under pressure now, because a lot of people in the press are asking me this question, they will challenge only in a half-hearted manner, rather slanting their arguments in a manner that he gets benefit or relief from Supreme Court also. That's my apprehension. So when we have central government, state government, CBI against us, and these powerful lobby of influential people against us, I will take some time to prepare a very strong case, and meanwhile, CBI will leave no stone unturned to hamper our effort. That's my apprehension.
Well, in fact, it's a story that we'll be tracking very closely. Shifting focus now to the other special story that we're getting to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, as India's space journey has just crossed another historic milestone. One that signals not just scientific strength, but global trust in India's launch capabilities. From Sriharikota's ISRO's powerful LV-M3 rocket lifted off, carrying the US communication satellite Bluebird Block 2, the heaviest payload ever launched by the Indian Space Agency. Now, weighing over 6 tons, this mission marks a defining moment for ISRO's heavy lift program and firmly places India among a select group of nations capable of launching such massive satellites into the orbit. More than a technological achievement, today's launch reflects India's growing role as a reliable partner in the global commercial space market, showcasing precision, power, and ambition as the country continues to expand its footprint far beyond Earth's atmosphere.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
India has added another historic milestone to its space journey.
M6 Bluebird Block 2 mission, a majestic liftoff. The rocket is beautifully searing through the bright Sriharikota sky.
ISRO's LVM-3 rocket, successfully launched the Bluebird Block 2 communication satellite from Sriharikota, marking the heaviest payload ever carried by the launch vehicle.
ISRO has successfully launched the Bluebird 6 along with the AST Spacemobile, the Texas-based US company, and now it's expected that the low Earth orbit satellite is settled down, and within days it's going to make a huge turnout onto what work exactly the Bluebird 6 satellite is going to do. As we heard from the AST CEO himself saying that the Bluebird satellite is going to eradicate 1,000 smaller satellites and make the work much easier for smart mobiles, especially if you have a smartphone with you. The connection is going to get much wider, much broader, especially it's like carrying a broadband in your pocket, and that's what the communication and technology is heading towards now. With more 60 satellites planned for the AST, we have to wait and see if ISRO is in connection with it. And with more Gaganyaan updates, the ISRO chairman also told us that it is a huge pleasure and it is a huge step for the Indian Space Research Organization to go ahead with private organizations in these collaborations to make sure that India is in par with US and other nations in terms of technologies, but increasing the number of launches every year.
Bluebird Block 2 satellites separated.
One by one, the critical stages of the mission unfolded flawlessly. It was celebrations galore at Sriharikota.
Today we accomplished the 9th successive launch of LVM-3 vehicle. Till today 9 launches we have done. All were successful, and we started with a humble beginning almost 63 years back. Today we have lifted the heaviest satellite from Indian soil using Indian launcher, that to a commercial mission for USA. One of the companies as a communication satellite we have placed in the orbit. This is the 434th satellite of foreign countries, 34th country from Indian soil. You can understand over years, in 45 years, we have reached to a level of this stature under the visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji. And it gives a highly satisfying. Today I can say we are rubbing shoulder to other spacefaring nations in the space activities. That too this year is the second international mission. The first one was the NISR mission. It gives a great satisfaction and a proud moment for every citizen of the Bharat.
1-0.
Connecting the unconnected, India rises as a space powerhouse.
Bluebird Block 2 mission, a majestic liftoff. The rocket is beautifully...
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.